Hey, everybody, welcome. This is a live edition of Syracuse Sports, Syracuse basketball post game, presented by Krause Health, the official healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics. We're coming off the heels. It was a win, but certainly were some concerns that showed themselves in Syracuse's fourth win of the season. They are 4-0 on the season, and take a deep breath and brace themselves for a trip to Las Vegas up next with Houston and Kansas on the docket, a third game to be determined in Las Vegas against a quality opponent. The warm-ups are over. Syracuse goes from having, as Ken Palm rates it, one of the, how could you put it, most non-competitive schedules in college basketball. I think they're rated at 356th in the country in terms of the opponents they've played so far, but you're going from one extreme to the other with those games coming up in Vegas. And there are some big concerns that showed themselves in this fourth game of the season, a fourth win of the season for Syracuse. So we'll discuss them all coming up here. But they do beat Monmouth tonight at the JMA Wireless Dome, 78-73. Technically, last night it is 12:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as we come on here. So thanks to those of you that are staying up late or getting up early, I guess, depending in one way, depending on where you're watching this here. But hey, it's the internet. It's not late in some places where you're watching. So those of you that are joining us live, we do appreciate that. But of course, make sure you follow on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, so you can listen and watch this pod on demand when you want here. So let's get right to it, guys, because there's a lot to cover in this game for Syracuse. First of all, this was a horribly officiated game. So horribly officiated game. I think there was a total of 47 fouls called in this thing. Both teams getting to the free throw line a lot, which we will discuss here as a big concern. Big concern for Syracuse, not only collectively, but a particular player that showed some signs tonight that he is having issues at the free throw line. And if he does not fix that quickly, that is going to be a major concern for Syracuse, given the strengths of his game here. But I hate when you get these officiating crews. And tonight it was Tony Henderson, Jerry Heater, and Eric Lewis that think everybody's there to watch them. Tic-tac calls, any sense of physicality, whistle. It was almost like they were officiating by motion detector, right? It was abysmal to watch. I can't stand it when you get officiating crews like this that tic-tac their way through these games. Now, Monmouth played a physical brand of basketball. They wanted to muck it up in the paint. Shout out to Monmouth for how they played tonight, by the way. They've got a great player in Justin Ray who dropped, what did he end up with on the night? 25 points. He was 4 of 7 from three-point range. He could get to the rim. Speedy kid. He'll be all league in Monmouth's league, which I forget off the top of my head where they even play. But Monmouth came in. They played physical defense. They mucked it up inside. Not only Justin Ray, but Stefanos Spartalis, 18 points. Gave Syracuse a lot of trouble in the paint. He gave Donnie Freeman a lot of trouble, who did lead Syracuse tonight with 18 points. By the way, Nate Kings had 15 points. Had that, I think, that breakout game a lot of Syracuse fans have kind of been waiting for. And, Nate Kings is showing it in other areas of the court, as we'll discuss. So I get that Monmouth's style of play lent itself to some fouls. But, man, you're calling the tic-tac stuff, motion sensor stuff all night, and then about 5.5 minutes to go, Cayenne Anthony essentially gets hip-checked. It's like he was a hockey player getting slammed against the boards, and you don't call it, right? That ruined the experience of this game. I think it affected how Syracuse played this game. I asked Red Autry about it afterwards. How did you adjust your coaching going through this? And he just kind of brushed it off. I think it would have been worth it for Autry to rip this officiating crew and take the fine, right? Rip the crew, John Wildhack, walk in the room afterwards. Here's a check to whoever he's got to fill it out to, the ACC, and make a statement about how bad the officiating was in this game, how frustrating it was. But two things can be true. If there's going to be that many foul calls and you're going to get to the free throw line 33 times, you cannot go 19 of 33 from the free throw line. I say it all the time, guys, okay? It's going to be on my tombstone one day. Free throws matter. This is why free throws matter. If Syracuse simply makes its free throws in this game at a respectable rate, if you're 27 of 33, if you're 26 of 33, I'll give you a few you're going to miss here and there. It happens. There's no drama in this game. This is a game that came down to the end. Monmouth comes down. So Bryce Zephyr is in the game late for Syracuse, who, by the way, I think is a great defender. Had to come in a couple of times for Nate George, who was getting beat by Ray. It's good to have depth. It's good to have defensive enforcers. This is a big difference between this year's team and last year's team, which Syracuse just did not have. So Zephyr should be in the game. I'm not being critical of that, but man, just the theme of the night. He goes to the free throw line late. He misses 2 free throws. So now Syracuse up by 3. Monmouth has the ball. They're going down. They don't foul, by the way. A just classic put him on the free throw line situation. They don't. Monmouth misses the 3. Syracuse gets a rebound. Donnie Freeman goes to the free throw line, ices the game. Freeman was actually good at the free throw line tonight, 12 of 14. I don't think Donnie Freeman, even though he led this team in scoring, had a particularly good game, but he made his free throws. Got to the free throw line 14 times, 12 of 14. He took care of business in that department. But if you're going to play in a physical game like this and you're going to be handed 33 free throws, you cannot go 19 of 33. That's 58%. So the ghost that always seems to haunt Syracuse is back. This is a team that is struggling at the free throw line right now. So I want to focus on that a bit. I talked to a few players about this, JJ included. JJ Starling has some kind of hitch in his free throw delivery right now, and this is a problem. I don't want to say this is going to be a consistent issue all year. You want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he can fix this. We asked Red Autry about it afterwards. Donna DeToda asked a very good question about this. And Red said what you would expect a coach to say, that he is confident that JJ Starling is going to get to the free throw line. He's going to work through these issues. But guys, JJ Starling's whole game, and JJ was back in the lineup tonight. Remember, he missed the previous 2 games after suffering a leg injury against Binghamton in the season opener, and he barely got into that game. He scored the first points of the season tonight against Monmouth. JJ Starling's whole game is to get to the rim. You cannot trust JJ Starling with the ball in his hands late doing what he does best if fouls are going to be called and he is going to be counted on to hit free throws. That is a big concern if he does not work out whatever that is. The knuckleball, the hitch, does he have the yips? I don't know. But if you watch this game and you saw that free throw stroke, there is something wrong there. Now, JJ was asked about that afterwards. I think we could all come to this conclusion that there's something mental there. And remember, they work on free throws all the time. It's just muscle memory at this point, right? And that's why you hate to see a team struggle with free throws, because they work on it every day. It's muscle memory. It's just something that they're literally free. But it's a mental thing. That could be a very lonely place on that island at the free throw line. And that's something that JJ said after when we asked him, hey, what's going on with that free throw?
The amount of work that we've been putting in, so I'm just excited to see what the season has to offer.
JJ, you said that rebounding was your biggest struggle tonight. You guys still out rebounded Monmouth. Are you just saying that coming with...
Well, unfortunately, that's not the right clip there. Let me see if I can find it. But what JJ did say, and my apologies for the technical issue there. I'm not sure what happened on that soundbite there. I thought I'd cut that up with JJ talking about free throws. But he said it's a mental thing. He said it's a mental thing, and he mentioned that a couple times, that it's mental, right? He even said it himself. It's a free throw. I shouldn't go up there and mess that up. He seemed frustrated that something that should be as routine as it was is not at this point. So this is something to keep a keen eye on, because when JJ was out, Cayenne Anthony came in and held down the fort. Now, Cayenne tonight, this is bound to happen, guys. A team came in, they doubled him, they went after him, they game planned for him. This is something he dealt with every day in high school. 4th game in college, teams are already accounting for him in the game plan. You knew this was going to happen. Monmouth knew the importance of Cayenne when he came in. He only took, I think he came in with like 16:23 to go in the first half. So that dynamic and that balance. And look, I said it on this post-game show after the Drexel win, and I said it, and I wrote a column about this as well, that Red Autry has a good problem with JJ Starling and Cayenne Anthony. And you can throw Nate George in there. You can throw Nate Kings in there, who we'll get to, who had a great game tonight. This is not about JJ or Cayenne. This is about JJ and Cayenne. But if JJ can't hit his free throws, if he is going to be fouled and put at the free throw line and continue to struggle there and show that hitch in his free throw stroke, that's a big problem. It's a big problem if it continues. You want to give somebody who's been around this long, who's coming back from injury, is a senior leader, the most experienced player on the team. You want to give him all the benefit of the doubt that he can fix this, okay? But was this a sign of things to come and something he's working through, or just a one-game glitch in the matrix that he's working through, as because that has been there before. That glitch in that free throw stroke has shown itself at times. JJ has changed his free throw stroke a lot. So that's a big problem if it continues, because that's his whole game. You want JJ on the floor, but his whole game is getting to the rack. You can't put him at the free throw line and count on him. He was taken out of this game late for that reason, right? So something to keep an eye on, and he's got to work through that. And Red has faith he's going to do it. I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt, but not too long. If he keeps getting to the free throw line and showing that simple mechanics are the issue, that is a problem. I mean, it's one thing, like William Kyle getting to the free throw line, his mechanics aren't quite there, but see, now you've got two players. Kyle's great in the paint. JJ gets to the rim. Their liabilities at the free throw line. That's two right there. Cayenne Anthony is struggling at the free throw line. You could tell how frustrated he was in talking to him afterwards. Let's see if this soundbite works.
Good job being receptive, and we should be good going into Houston.
Coach said this was really the first game that you guys have kind of dealt with some adversity. What can
I don't know what's going on here, guys. I cut up a couple sound bites here. Let me see. Give me 1 second here, guys. Hey, we're live here. We're doing things on the fly here. Let me see. Just give me 1 second here, guys, because I think I might have uploaded the wrong thing. So let's see if I can get the right things uploaded here. On these guys talking about free throw shooting, because I wanted to hear what their thoughts on this were. Let me try this again here.
When free throws is a rhythm
Okay, so this is the right one. So we asked Cayenne about free throw shooting. Here's
thing. So once you see 1 and 2 going, it's like clockwork. The rest you just showing it. But when you miss, you really got to find that adjustment. I feel like my free throws time was hitting everything but going in, like a lot of in and outs, a lot of back rims. I think one was short, so we just got to be better as a team. Like I said before, guards got to make free throws. Free throws win games. If we make our free throws, that's a double-digit win. So
there you go. I believe we have that JJ clip that I was referencing earlier. I think this is the
Like I said, it's just the whole thing is just mental. I mean, it's a free throw. Like, nobody's guarding you. That's supposed to be a time where you get easy points, you relax. But I know me myself, I didn't do that. I rushed it, and I wasn't focused.
Okay, so I'm glad we found that. JJ admitted, wasn't focused, rushed it, didn't go through his routine. We'll continue to see if that's an issue. One more on that. This is Nate.
Like what I said with my shooting, you just got to stay confident. You got to get in the lab and work on it. You can't take it for granted, even though it's just a free throw. Like, they really can win games, win or lose games. So just got to take it more serious.
There you go. Nate Kings, Cayenne Anthony, and JJ Starling there. So free throws are an issue. Free throws matter, as we know. Houston is next. Now, little plug, knock on wood, as long as everything lines up here. I don't like to jinx these things, but we've got a couple guests lined up later this week that are going to go more in depth on Houston and Kansas. Houston is a team you've got to be buttoned up against, because the other big issue for Syracuse is the last two games, they have come out and gotten in a big hole rebounding-wise. Houston will eat you alive if you do that. Houston is a very disciplined, physical basketball team on defense, right? Syracuse has been better defensively, not their best night overall there on defense tonight. They were leaving a lot of open shooters. Monmouth was taking advantage of it. We mentioned the game that Justin Ray had. Too many open shots. Nate George at one point got pulled for Zephyr. Not just late in the game, but early in the second half, because he was leaving Ray open for those threes. Overall tonight, from the three-point line, Monmouth was 9 of 24, Syracuse 7 of 17, right? You don't want Monmouth making more threes than you. You don't want to see now, Syracuse eventually won the rebounding by 1 rebound, 36-35, but they had to crawl out of a hole. At one point, they were down, I think, 15-4 on the boards. Can't do that against Houston. You have to start better. You have to be more efficient on the board. You certainly have to be better on the free throw line. And you just got to be in the game earlier. You're not going to dig yourself out of a hole against a team like Houston. number 2 in the country, national championship game last year, a lot of success in recent years. Calvin Sampson has built that into a juggernaut in college basketball these days. Syracuse faced them in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. We all remember that game, right? First ESPN mock draft dropped on Tuesday. Houston had 3 first-rounders on there. Like a total of 5 picks maybe. And you're going to be playing Kansas as well. Now, Kansas, let me check here, played earlier tonight, and Syracuse always plays like this random Tuesday night game at 9 o'clock when they've got those great games on at the State Farm Champion Classic. So Kansas lost to Duke tonight. Kansas is 3-2. Duke beat them 78-66 tonight. Okay? But Kansas is still going to provide a real challenge for Syracuse. Now, the big question is Darren Peterson going to be in that game? Darren Peterson is arguably the best player in the country. He was the number 1 pick in the mock draft that I mentioned, and you can go through a few other guys on that list, but Syracuse is going to face, in that mock draft, by the way, 7 of the first 10 picks. Peterson, Boozer, Nate Ament at Tennessee, Caleb Wilson at North Carolina, Michael Brown at Louisville, Chris Senac Jr. at Houston, Dame Sarr at Duke, a total of, 11 first-round picks that Syracuse is going to face in that mock draft alone. So the difference between Delaware State, Drexel, Monmouth, which you need those games to get your act together, get some chemistry going, right? The shame of it is, before Syracuse was supposed to play Houston, Kansas, in that to-be-determined third team in Vegas, they had another game scheduled in Vegas. Remember that game against St. Joe's, but that got moved to the Dome because they had a coaching change and they got basically booted out of the Vegas tournament, the Players Tournament coming up. Syracuse needs another game, frankly, before they play Houston. They don't have that luxury now. So there's just a lot they got to button up and tighten up. But I'll tell you what, I think the silver lining is a couple of things. One, you play this type of physical game before you play Houston, get you in that mind frame. I just hate that you don't know how the officiating is going to be. God forbid there's another officiating game like this all year, let alone against Houston. But Houston's the type of team, if you get a whistle, a ref with a tight whistle, it can turn into another one of these games. So the blessing in disguise is at least you played in this kind of game going into what can be a physical game against Houston. Here's the other blessing in disguise, guys. This team loses this game last year. Flat out, period. They lose. There is an upgrade, even in all the places they struggle tonight. Nate George is just a better point guard that's going to find Kyle in the paint, that's going to find Sadiq White in the paint. Sadiq, who fouled out of this game, right? Still developing as a defender, but athletically, it's hard not to just fall in love with the kind of game he can play. He's going to give you 2 or 3 highlights a game. He's an excitable player. He does like to defend. He's still working on his positioning and just the things that have to come together in his game. But there's depth on that bench when you could bring in White. Cayenne Anthony is technically off the bench now with JJ back. And we'll see how that goes with the concerns with JJ's free throw shooting at this point. But you could bring Zephyr off the bench. You can go down that Syracuse bench and really bring some depth in there. Akir Soiree can come in and change a game defensively, right? There is true depth on this team. Nate Kings had the breakout game I think people were looking for, finally kind of hit those outside and open threes, but there is more to his game. So the difference between a Nate Kings this year and a Chris Bell last year is there's so much more to Kings' game. He can get to the rim. He's a great defender. Now I want to see what he does against Houston versus Monmouth, right? One extreme to the other, although Monmouth played pretty well and almost pulled off the upset tonight, but there is a serious upgrade there. Nate Kings has played at a high level. So I want to see him defend that well against good teams, but he can defend. He can rebound. He had 4 rebounds tonight. He had 9 rebounds against Drexel, all-around player. Some people were saying, well, when Cayenne comes, when JJ comes back, do you put Nate George, Cayenne, and JJ in the lineup, and maybe Nate Kings doesn't start, comes off the bench? Nate Kings showed tonight, you can't boot him out of that starting lineup yet. He's got to keep that shooting going, but he's not a one-trick pony. He's a guy that has a good all-around game, and that was encouraging to see tonight. As much as Nate George lacked on defense at times against a speedy, smaller guard, he's a playmaker. He's going to push the floor. He's going to find Kyle in the paint. They've got a real connection there. William Kyle, one of the first plays of the game, about a minute into the game, I believe Kyle's got like 14 blocks now on the year. There was a play, I'm just going back to my notes here. There was a defensive play very early in this game when it looked like, I believe it was Spartalis, but it was a play in the paint. And it just looked like a routine, easy, oh man, where's the defense on that? And Kyle comes out of nowhere and makes the block and pins the ball on the backboard. We didn't see that at all last year. Upgrade. There's a difference there, right? There's a noticeable difference here. I think you have more faith that this, now again, you don't want to be biting your fingernails off in a 78-73 game against Monmouth and the drama created because you can't hit your free throws. Not excusing that. But this is a better team. This is a deeper team that has more options. So there's a yin and a yang to this. I don't like the way that Autry subbed in the first half of this game. I think going into Houston and Kansas, find that lineup that, and he was still searching for it at times. And when things are breaking down, I liked that he put in Zephyr for Nate George. I like that Zephyr was in there late. I like that William Kyle. Now, the trade-off with Kyle is when you put him in there as defensive sub, as they did late in the game, you can't get him the ball because he's a poor free throw shooter. There was Nate Kings had a great game overall, made a big mistake late, tried to throw the ball inside to William Kyle. It turned into a turnover, but you can't have Kyle with the ball in a situation where he's going to get fouled late in the game when it's tight like that. You can't put him at the free throw line. So that's the challenge. That's the trick of putting him in there as a defensive sub late because he can block shots. He's a great defender. He's great in the paint. You get him on a break. Nate George is going to find him, right? But you don't want him with the ball in his hands with two defenders clamping in and trying to stop the clock with the foul. So that's a trade-off. But again, look all around the lineup. These guys are better. Now, I didn't love the game Donnie Freeman played. I think Donnie falls way too in love with his shot away from the basket. I think he thinks he's better there than he is at times. When he kind of gets caught out on the wing and it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I got two defenders here. Am I going to drive in? He can hit the three. He can hit the open three. But I think there's just times where it's like, Donnie, just take the ball inside. You're going to beat that guy. I'll tell you what, though, he got a real challenge from, I don't want to mispronounce his name. Heck of a player, man. Monmouth had a couple really good players. There are good players all across college basketball these days. Spartalis really challenged Donnie Freeman at times. Freeman lagged on defense a number of possessions that allowed open shots, allowed threes, allowed guys to get to the paint. There were two or three times that Donnie got a rebound, just had the ball knocked away from him, right? Like, Donnie's a talented player. Donnie is one of the leaders on this team. Donnie Freeman is somebody you want out there. But tonight showed sometimes where if Donnie's not just locked in, charged in, and doing the things he's great at, he's thinking about other aspects of his game, and he's got the NBA in mind. He was not in that mock draft that I mentioned today. Donnie, I want him out there more than I don't. Let's not get crazy here. But there are some lapses in his game that I think will be more challenging against the Houstons and the Kansases of the world. So you want to see him step up there, right? So 12 of 14 at the free throw line. I do like that. You're going to get to the free throw line, make your free throws. But if Donnie Freeman's got 18 points, I don't want 12 of them at the free throw line, which again goes back to the ridiculous way that this game was officiated. So there is a real, I got good news, I got bad news type of thing that comes out of this game. There are concerns about free throw shooting. There are concerns about rebounding. There are concerns about buttoning up the defense because you want to go to Vegas. And what's a successful trip to Vegas, right? A lot of our Syracuse sports insiders, and we're going to get to you guys coming up here with your great comments. Being a Syracuse sports insider, as you guys know, but in case you don't, get you direct text message access to me anytime. You guys were really fired up during this game. I love reading your text, getting your feedback. as the game goes along here. We're going to highlight some of your comments here shortly, as we do exclusively. Only Syracuse Sports Insiders get their voice heard here on the Syracuse Sports Live podcast and Syracuse Sports as well. But, one thing that the insiders have been asking about a lot, and the questions were coming in at a fast and furious pace about a number of things that we saw in this game. But a number of you have asked, what would be a successful trip to Vegas for Syracuse? And to me, a win and showing you belong on that court. I mean, they've got to get a win. They've got to find a win out there, because you are now in a stretch where you play Houston, Kansas, a to-be-determined third-quality opponent, come home, play Tennessee. So you're going from one of the worst-rated schedules, the worst-rated schedule in the country, according to KenPom, to playing 4 teams that are in the top 20 of the KenPom ratings, the top 20 of the Associated Press poll, whatever you want to use, right? And we'll see because we don't know who that third opponent in Vegas is going to be. That could just add to it. So you're going to go from one extreme to the other, schedule-wise, and you got to step up your game. So to me, you got to get a win in Vegas to show that you're in that group of teams, obviously to shore up your NCAA tournament resume, but show that you can hang. Don't go out there and get your doors blown off. Go out there and challenge these teams. Go out there and show that at the very least you belong on that court with those teams, and that they're going to walk away saying, hey, you gave us a punch in the nose. Don't go out there and embarrass yourself. I think that's a quote-unquote successful trip to Vegas. Truly show you've made progress. Truly show, and I know it's early in the year and they still have to develop and everything, but hey, that's what the schedule brings. You get a few warm-up games, and you got to step up and play some big boys. That's why you play in these tournaments. So to me, that's a successful trip. But again, you go to Vegas, then come home, play Tennessee. Now, they got that game at home, but this is going to test that old theory of, does the hottest fire make the strongest steel? By playing these games 3 in a row in that case, then coming home, only having a couple days break and playing Tennessee, that could decide your whole season, right? And to see a little regression show itself against Monmouth, to show some concern show itself against Monmouth with your senior leader, your most experienced player, if he doesn't fix that free throw stroke, who's got the ball in their hands late? I mean, it naturally goes to Nate George, because he's going to be the point guard who, I don't have his free throw percentage right here in front of me, but I know it's better than what I've seen from JJ Starling. I know it's better than what I've seen from when William Kyle gets the ball in his hands. And even Cayenne Anthony. Cayenne Anthony had a set where he shot 2 technicals and then was fouled. So he had 4 free throws. He goes 1 of 4. I don't care if you're a freshman, senior, anything in between. You cannot go 1 of 4 at the free throw line. You can't have a defensive sub come in with a chance to ice the game, miss 2 free throws, and give whoever you're playing, in this case tonight it was Monmouth, a shot to win the game. So we talked about a lot of things that happened. Some good, some bad. The free throw shooting is going to continue to just hover as the elephant in the room until it fixes itself. And at the very least, it's not a liability, right? The good news, though, is, there's a yin to the yang with the conversation with this team. I think people have hope that the talent level is better and that they're going to find their way through some of these tough games. They found their way through this one tonight, right? This was kind of like an NCAA tournament game. You draw, it's like a 4-13 game, and it's like, oh, here's Monmouth who went out there and won their conference, and you don't quite know, like, oh, what kind of team is this? And then they get on the floor. You haven't had a lot of time to prep. They're punching you on defense. They've got this guard who's a water bug all over the court. He's hitting shots. Who's this big guy from God? I've never heard of this. Like, it's just a team, like, maybe they didn't take seriously enough and maybe didn't scout well enough, right? It felt like that kind of game tonight. Houston, Kansas, Tennessee, that third team in Vegas, St. Joe's. These are more serious games. For the first 3 games of the season, Syracuse looked like they were building confidence. 4th game, they hit a bump in the road here. And now you got to right that. You got to fix that with the number 2 team in the country coming up. Kansas is 3-2. Kansas has looked vulnerable, especially if Darren Peterson's not in. But I'm as curious as anybody, guys, how they fix this, how they bounce back from this. This is a true challenge for this team and for Red Autry. As you guys noted on the Syracuse Sports Insider text line, let's see some of the best of what you guys had to say tonight. We start with Richard B., who says, cannot be excused in any way at this level. They have 6 days to solve the free throw problem. Who on this team inspires confidence at the line in a close game in the final minutes? Very worrisome. I mean, it falls to Nate George now. He's got to have the ball in his hands. He's got to get to the free throw line. You want him to distribute and create offense, but he's the guy you trust with the ball in his hands now at the free throw line on a team where the free throw shooting it is a liability until proven otherwise. Mike V says the best teams have lots of guys capable of breakout games and a go-to guy. Who is our go-to guy? As we were just saying, it seems like George in a weird way. I think that JJ can also fill that role as long as he makes his free throws. He's certainly no worse than the rest of them. The hope is you're going to look back on this and you're going to say, oh man, remember when JJ was having that hitch at the free throw line? It's a good thing he fixed that. It's a good thing that was a temporary problem, right? That's the hope, that it's just something mental. He works it out. He's back in the flow of things after missing time with an injury, as he did last year. Different injury. Last year was a wrist. This year it's a leg situation, right? That's the hope. But that is going to be a lingering, I'm going to use the phrase again, elephant in the room, right? Think of the confidence. Think how that can get in your head. It's late in the game. JJ's got the ball in his hands. JJ is going to drive to the rim. He's going to draw whistles. He goes to that free throw line. Everybody's holding their breath. Can't have that. We played the clip from Cayenne Anthony. Guards have to hit their free throws, right? Will M. There's no doubt this roster is better than it's been in recent years. Way more athleticism, way more length, better shooting. I just have no faith in Autry to coach this team up. He adds, I'm really sad to say that, but I just don't, and I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. Yeah, Autry's got to prove himself. Coaching against Kelvin Sampson, coaching against Bill Self in Las Vegas. How he works this roster, a better roster, a deeper roster, more options. He's been doing the hockey lines. He's been finding some matchups. I think he made a couple great subs tonight, as I brought up earlier in the show. Was willing to bench JJ, had to bench JJ late in the game with the free throw issues, putting Zephyr in for his point guard because of some defensive lapses there. That message has been sent by Autry, clear and present. You lag on defense, you're hitting that bench. The press didn't work as well tonight. Monmouth found its way around it. Syracuse wants to be aggressive defensively. These are all good things. But now I got to coach against big boys and some of the blue bloods, quite literally, in the sport coming up. Daniel L. says, definitely not what you want to see going into Vegas, but maybe good to get some close game experience heading into that tournament. From my guy Al S., benching your senior point guard down the stretch takes guts. JJ forced it and really hurt his team, not only with missed free throws, but not having his senior leadership on the floor in the first tight game. No way can JJ recover to be the go-to guy. That was gone with those air balls at the free throw line. This is Donnie's team now. I don't buy that yet, Al. I think that's a kind of an overreaction to one game. I'm not going to brush aside the concerns there that he's got to fix that, but I'm not tossing away everything I've seen from JJ Starling when he's at his best in one bad game on November 18th, right? I'm not saying there's not things to watch there. He's got to fix that free throw stroke because you got to trust JJ with the ball in his hands. Even though Nate George is the point guard, JJ still likes to have the ball in his hands essentially as point guard 1A. He likes to create. He likes to run the show. He'll still take the ball up a lot. He's kind of a hybrid point guard shooting guard still. I don't think he's settled into being a true shooting guard. But can I state the obvious here? Your shooting guard has to make free throws. And if he's got a hitch in his delivery or whatever this is, a mental issue by his own admission that he can't get over, that's a problem. So the hope is it's a temporary issue that he works his way through. But, I mean, man, so he looked like, I'm going to use an old baseball reference here. He looked like Chuck Knobloch. Remember when Chuck Knobloch couldn't throw the ball to first base back in the day? There's been a couple other examples of that in baseball history, guys that just I dare to even say the word as a golfer and invite that into the atmosphere. We're not playing a lot of golf around here lately, that's for sure. It's winter is settling in early in central New York, but he looked like he had the yips at the free throw line. So again, I'm going to give JJ the benefit of the doubt that he's going to work his way through that. If he can't, we got a problem. So Al, I hear what you're saying, but I think that's right. No, way too much in Sharpie on JJ on the 19th. I still think some of these issues are in pencil. Let's let him work his way through it. But if it continues to be an issue, then Syracuse has got a very interesting decision on its hands. But again, here's the good news. You've got somebody that can come in and play that position. You've got Cayenne Anthony, who's got some development of his own at the free throw line he's got to do, but there's somebody right there. That's true competition. That's true depth. That, again, eventually we got to get away from comparing this team to last year's team, but this last year's team, that person didn't exist. You had what you had, and it was a bad team. This year, there are options on that bench when your senior leader, experienced shooting guard is having issues at the free throw line. As much as you want to give him the benefit of the doubt and make him part of this thing, there's somebody sitting right there that can fix that problem, right? That's the difference on this year's team, at least on paper, right? From Jim B, not that Jim B. Glad they can win an ugly game, but foul shooting is going to cost this team several games this year, which doesn't bode well when the margin for making the tournament is already thin. And Frankie S. will take us home here with this. Syracuse nearly shot itself out of this game at the free throw line. Monmouth was like that annoying gnat that just keeps buzzing around your face all night. But this is a game that Syracuse loses last year. That is a sentiment I agree with. I don't want to use the old cliche here, but they did find a way to win with better talent, with fighting through a very frustrating officiating crew, by making plays that last year's team was literally incapable of making, that I brought up with William Kyle, that I brought up with Nate Kings, that I brought up with Nathan George, with JJ at his best, with Donnie Freeman healthy, right? That's the encouraging thing. There is talent, athleticism, length, size, and depth that last year's team doesn't have. Now, again, we've seen it. We've seen what's on the roster. We've seen what's on the bench. We've seen, here are the ingredients. Now the chef's got to make the meal. You have been given good ingredients. Last year, they were trying to make a Michelin 3-star meal out of Spam. Now you've got some real ingredients here. This is, one of those cooking shows on the Food Network, and you look at the ingredients, you're like, okay, we got something here. You got 2 world-class chefs going at it here with great ingredients. They've got the ingredients. Tonight, the meal came out, and you're like, this is okay. Like, I can eat this, but it's not what I expected from you after what I saw the first 3 games. Man, you should have heard what the people were saying about your place the first 3 games of the year. I came in tonight, like Tuesday night, 9:00, chef having an off night. That's what it kind of felt like. By the way, these 9:00 games, listen, I know you got to be on TV, okay? I would much rather start at a reasonable hour on ESPN Ocho Plus, and we go to bed at a reasonable, and I'm not doing a post-game show at 1:30 in the morning, okay? Right? Like, can we have that trade-off? I'd rather do that than get it on ACC Network. By the way, attendance in the box score, 18,550. Really? That's okay. Okay. Is there a 1 printed there by accident? Because the actual attendance in this game was, slice the 1 off that. Now, if you put attendance 8,515 on the press box, I'm still going to look at you funny. The fact that they actually put 18,000, now that's tickets sold and all, but come on now. But that's what you get with Monmouth, credit to Monmouth, they actually played a great game. If you did come to the game, you would have saw there were a lot of people leaving early. Shout out to my guy Matt Gavendo. Matt, where are you going? There's no traffic to beat. There's only 6,000 people at this game. Monmouth almost hit a shot to send this thing to overtime. Now, I don't blame you for leaving in the fact that it's like 11 o'clock at night. People got to go to work in the morning. I totally get that. But 9 o'clock game, Monmouth, Tuesday night, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a crowd that lacked any kind of energy. And that did affect how Syracuse played at times. You have to be self-starters, though. You have to get yourself going in those situations. You can't just rely on the crowd to lift you up there. But 18,000, huh? Okie dokie. Sure. That's going to do it for this edition of Syracuse Sports Live, Syracuse basketball postgame. So, as mentioned, guys, we've got a pod lined up later this week. I can say this. I know this definitively because I talked to him today. We're going to have Mike Golick Jr. on to talk Syracuse Notre Dame. Yeah, I get it. Football. Let's just kind of get this thing over with. But Mike is great to talk to. Knows Notre Dame. He's got some great travel tips for those of you making the trip to South Bend to see that football game. So we're going to talk to Mike Golick Jr. I've got a Kansas guest and a Houston guest lined up, scheduled on the show that I think you'll enjoy hearing from. I've got a former Syracuse football player I'm scheduled to talk to later this week about a really interesting thing going on. So we got some things cooking on the pod. Our next post-game show will be back to football after Syracuse plays Notre Dame on Saturday afternoon. Our next basketball post-game show, Monday, November 24th, the start of 3 games in Vegas, baby, Vegas. Houston, the number 2 team in the country, up first there. So a lot of things coming up. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode of the Syracuse Sports Podcast and our live Syracuse football and basketball postgame shows. Thanks for hanging with us tonight, especially those of you on the East Coast that were hanging late into the early morning here as we sign off at 1:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the beauty of following on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. You guys can listen on demand whenever you want. Syracuse does win 78-73. Syracuse is 4-0 heading to Vegas, but some free throw issues showed themselves tonight and some rebounding issues that Syracuse has to button up and a few other things defensively and other issues we noted tonight that you just got to have buttoned up if you're going to go show in Vegas against Houston, Kansas, and that undetermined third quality opponent for the Orange. And then Tennessee, December 2nd. Next 4 games. Syracuse is in the thick of it, guys. So we'll see how they come out of it, but they're going into it at 4-0. Thanks for watching tonight. Thanks to Krause Health, the official healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics. My name is Brent Axe. We will talk to you again next time here on Syracuse Sports.